A statement we issued yesterday afternoon expressed the Secretary General's concern over reports of numerous civilian casualties resulting from ongoing military operations in Yemen, including an airstrike on the 30th of March on the Al-Mazraq camp for internally displaced persons in Harad in the north of Yemen, and attacks against several hospitals in Dale in the south of the country. These attacks left dozens dead and injured, among them children. The Secretary General reminds all parties involved in military operations in Yemen of their obligations under international humanitarian law to ensure the protection of civilians. This includes the strict adherence to the principles of proportionality, distinction, and precaution. He also stresses that hospitals and other medical installations have a special protected status under international law. The Secretary General reiterates his firm belief in the necessity to resolve the conflict through peaceful means. And today, the UN humanitarian coordinator in Yemen said he was appalled by the killing of a volunteer with the Yemen Red Crescent Society in Al-Dalieh in southern Yemen on Monday. He appealed to all parties in the conflict to ensure freedom of movement and access for humanitarian workers to carry out their work in safety, as well as unfettered access to those in need. This includes allowing the free and safe movement of humanitarian aid supplies into and within Yemen. The Secretary General met in Kuwait City yesterday with Hussein Amir Abdullahian, the Deputy Foreign Minister of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The Secretary General and the Deputy Foreign Minister reviewed the situations in Syria, Yemen, and Iraq. The Secretary General underscored the extremely difficult humanitarian situation in Yemen, especially given the lack of access due to the fighting. The Secretary General discussed with Iran the need for all countries in the region to ensure that Iraq does not fall due to sectarian fighting. The Secretary General also requested Iran to do everything possible to support the Iraqi government's efforts to promote national reconciliation. On Syria, they discussed efforts to promote dialogue, a transitional governing body, and an end to the conflict in order to bring an end to the terrible suffering of the Syrian people. Yes.
And a few days ago, there was a strike in Aden to a missile depot, which was very close to the city. And nobody has established what was the cause of that explosion, which jeopardized the whole city as a whole. Many people perished in the attack, and the houses are surrounding it, they all cracked. Will there be any investigation into that incident? Also, there was an attack last night against a dairy factory in Hodeidah. Dozens of people died in that attack. Will there be any investigations in crimes against war crimes in this case?
We're aware of these recent incidents, and again, I'd refer you to the statement I read at the top of this briefing, which the concerns of which apply to all of the current violence that's going on. Regarding investigations, as you know, our presence on the ground has decreased since the temporary relocation of international staff. It's not really a role for us to play at this point. Whether there will be accountability down the line is, that's something we encourage, but ultimately, first what we need is an end to the fighting so that people can then go about finding out what happened in any of the attacks that disproportionately have harmed civilians. Yes.
Sana'a is inscribed by UNESCO as a cultural heritage site. How does the UNESCO feel? I mean, we'd not hear any statement from UNESCO regarding the bombardment of Sana'a, which is a very unique city in history.
I believe they are concerned about whenever their World Heritage sites are attacked, and I believe that they'll continue, as we are all doing throughout the system, to monitor the situation. You've seen the statements of concern expressed across the board by the UN system, and our colleagues at the UN Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization share those sentiments. Yes.